Welcome to Twin Bridge Dairy Goats. We're glad you're here.
It's about family, farm, and our girls.
We're located in beautiful central Oklahoma where the wind comes sweeping down the plain. Share our experiences, what we've learned, what we're still learning. It's about triumphs as well as failures.
They love me.
It's not the easiest thing you can do. There are always challenges, but it's the best life for us. We believe you should learn something every day. Follow us on our journey. There's always something going on at the farm, so come along. This is what happened today. It's that time of the year, guys. It's getting cold. Good morning. It's October 18th, or no, it's the 19th now. And woke up to 28 degrees this morning. We're in the chicken yard right now. The chickens seem to be doing fine. Opened up the gates so they can free range. Put some fresh chicks in the brooder. And I don't know if Teresa has, got you up to speed on that or not. But anyway, that's our first hatch, and we did pretty good for the hatch. Quite a few of the Australorps. That's what we were going for, was more of the Australorps. But I'd like to go check my bees. I put them, well, let me get over there and I'll tell you about it. This is my favorite time of the morning. It's about 7:30, between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. That's when the sun gets just high enough to warm the hive. And normally the bees are starting to come out and do their foraging, but this morning, pretty inactive. I'll flip you around and show you. Not a whole lot going on this morning. Okay guys, so for the ones that's been following along, I built this hive. So there's the hive right there, and you're gonna say, what in the world is going on there? In the previous video, I explained what my theory was to get the bees to overwinter in the hive. That is the nuke hive that used to be over there on the north end of the property by the goats. And I've moved it over here, placed it in the Long Hive because we were going to be getting down to the 28 degrees. It worried me, so I went ahead and moved it yesterday. I have to give a self-admission at this point. The day before, I tried to install this nuke into the Long Hive, and it didn't go as well as what the plan. Let's just say it didn't go according to plan. Basically what happened is my perception was not what reality ended up being. I started out, and we've got a dial on the front that I've closed down so that all the bees are locked into that nuke hive. In the top is where I put the feeder. Well, if there's no feeder on the top, then you have this plug. What I did is I had taken off the feeder and put the plug in. Now I knew that whenever I was going to transport the bees that I would be putting the plug in, and I'd have to be very careful. I knew I needed to be careful not to bump, or jar the bees. And so, I was being careful trying to load it onto my wagon because I was going to pull it or push it over there, whatever I decided, to get it over to the hive. Somehow, I really can't even say. I was trying to recall telling Teresa what had happened, and all I know is that cap came off, and the bees were in the air quickly. I don't know. Can you see all those legs moving around up there? I hope the camera's picking it up. You can see all these legs at the top of the box. And that means that this whole top of the lid. Needless to say, I ran like the Dickens on my knees as fast as I could away from the hive. I had bees in my hair. They were all over my hat. They were lighting all over me. Luckily, I didn't get stung as many times as I did, but there was only once. Can you believe it? One time I was actually stung. I did not swat. I didn't freak out. I just ran like the dickens on my knees away from the hive. It's pretty impossible to outrun the bees, especially on your knees. My thought is that if they're in there, they're going to be able to acclimate into the Long Hive and be ready to overwinter at the same time. So we are going to leave them in the hive. They're all shut up. I've got a little diagram of what's going on in the box. I'm not going to open everything up right now because it took a while to get it all placed back. But I'll show you a little diagram and give you a little insight to what's going on inside the hive. Okay guys, so usually I sketch out everything before I build it. And so if we strip everything away, you'll see the front of the Long Hive. I basically took my original nuke box, I placed it in the bottom of the hive, then I placed a second box on top of it. Now that feeder that's on top is in line with the hole that's in the top of the solid top on the second box, allowing the bees to flow through. Hopefully they'll pack out that second box. Also, the entrance on the front of the original nuke box will be opened so that the bees can travel from the entrance down to the new entrance of the Long Hive. Okay, now everything above the rim of the Long Hive will be sealed off with inner cover boards so that keeps the compartments separate. Now, if you've been following and you've been watching the first, when I built this, you'll see how that I've separated everything with divider boards, and I can segment off 5-frame nuke sections, or I could do, well, just go back to the video and review that if you would like. So you can see how versatile this Long Hive could be. It's actually, I'm pretty happy with it. Also, it gives me an opportunity to try everything out. Kind of premature. I wished I had a little bit more time, but you know how it goes. Now, I know that this is probably an unorthodox way of doing it. I have all of the parts for the custom frames that will be going into this Long Hive, but I didn't have my oxalic acid yet, and I would like to kind of kill two birds with one stone. My thoughts were that I would transfer the bees into the Long Hive, they would transition into the new frames, and then I would go ahead and treat for mites. And with the cold snap, it kind of moved me to action, I guess, to save the bees, because I was afraid they were going to freeze. They were talking about a hard freeze. I didn't know how far it was coming down, north of us, or if it was going to come right down on top of us. So that's why I did this. If you remember, that's where the hive was. I had these blocks down and the hive was sitting on them off the ground, but I'm going to remove all of this and clean this whole area up completely so that in 3 days, when they go from this hive, if they happen to come over here looking for their old home, it's not going to be here. If that happens, then I'm going to probably set up a box to capture whatever comes back over here, but that's not supposed to happen. So from where the bees were to their new hive over there is about 75, 80 feet. And what I was reading is that if you have to move your bees, then you need to move the hive 3 feet every day. So you think about moving 3 feet every day and let them acclimate until they get over to the location. Well, we had this cold snap coming in, and I just didn't have the luxury of time to move them the 3 feet every day until I got them over there. Calculated that out. That would take me almost a month. Not quite, but you get the picture. To move them over into where they would ultimately be in the Long Hive over there. So what I opted to do is close up the hive the day before yesterday at night, and I closed up all the entrances. I put them on the wagon and packed them over there and put them in the Long Hive the next morning, continuing to keep the entrances closed, and we're going to open them in 3 days. Now what I've read is that, hang on a second. So what I had read is that if you're going to move or relocate your bees, the rule is 3 and 3. So that's 3 feet a day or 3 miles. So you're supposed to move your bees 3 miles away and then bring them back in 3 days. And then they'll reorient themselves and they'll start using this as their home now. That is what I read. The other thing I'd read is that there was also 2 and 2. You could do 2 feet a day or 2 miles, and that would also work. But do a little bit deeper dive, and you know me, looking for a workaround, found some guys that had actually moved their hives, closed up their entrances before they did so, moved them to the new location, and opened their entrances in 3 days. You're supposed to put some branches or some kind of something in front of them, an obstruction, to get them to reorient themselves, and they're supposed to automatically reorient to the new location. They're just simply amazing little creatures that have a much higher sense of GPS location than anything mechanical. It's just awesome to think about. But anyways, we're going to try this. I don't know. Can you see all those legs moving around up there? I hope the camera's picking it up. You can see all these legs at the top of the box. And that means that this whole top of the lid, all the way across, I don't know if you can see this over here. I could almost see it better over here. Anyway, that means that that whole lid all the way across there is probably full of bees, as well as they're in the feeder. Okay guys, it's 3 days now. That's 72 hours. It's about 42 degrees this morning. I got up at about 6:30 or 7, I guess it was. Opened up the inside of the hive, took the inner covers off, and opened up the dial so that it opened the entrance. And then I went out to the exterior of the Long Hive and opened that entrance. And it must be too cold because the bees are not coming out. I thought that they would, I knew that they wouldn't roll out, you know, like in the heat of the day, but they've been cooped up for a while. I figured that they would want to get out and start. I guess we'll see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and set the camera up and try to get the first bees that come out. Take a look. So there we go. There I was worried for nothing. Looks like they're just fine, and they're going right back up into the hive. This is a couple of hours later, so it took a little while for them to warm up, but they are having no problem now. I put that stick in there as just kind of a ramp, because what was happening is I was seeing the bees and they were kind of falling off of that landing board onto the ground, which I tried to help a few of them up, but I wanted to make like a ramp back up into the entrance, which was probably not necessary. Obviously it's not necessary, they're not even using it. So, you know, that's the thing. We think that we are helping the bees, but the bees really don't need any help. We're just manipulating the hive, and we're manipulating the way they act and making them do what we want them to. But I would say this is going to be a success. It's, for what it is, they're definitely working over there, and they're going back up into the hive and coming out as they should. I hope you like this video, and if you do, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time we post. We'll chat later.